I kind of moved my databases out of Kubernetes, and it's been a process. It's been an evolution. It's been a learning experience. Let's spin it positively. But for a while, I had my databases in Kubernetes, and I will say there's nothing wrong inherently with putting databases in Kubernetes. Like, the technology works, makes scaling easy. If you have an operator, you can pretty much, let it run automatically, almost hands off. So that aside, like, it's a good fit. Like, it's a good fit for the technology. But some of the other pieces aren't a great fit, or it may not be designed or architected in a way. And so when you think of like, hey, databases in Kubernetes, you might be like, oh, that's a terrible idea. Actually, it's a really good idea if you do it right and it works right. And I won't go totally into it because I've done it before, and I've talked about it in length. But what would make hosting databases in Kubernetes bad? Well, the first big one is shared environment, right? Everybody who is a DBA or has done database stuff is always like, they don't want databases in shared environments. Well, why not? Because latency, because of disk IO, because you name it. Most of them have dedicated disks or spindles or dedicated machines to run those databases, right? Because you need something super high performing. You need tons of IOPS for queries. You need tons of RAM for all the cache from all the queries, so on and so forth. And so if you put Postgres in Kubernetes that's shared with everything else, you're kind of breaking the first rule of database hosting, which is you probably shouldn't use shared storage or shared environments in general, depending on how high performing your database is. So anyways, I did that. I put it in with, I put it on Proxmox host with shared VMs, with shared disks, in a Kubernetes cluster, within a shared cluster. And so, that was part of it. That was part of it. Makes it, tough, to get performance out of it, or to, keep it as available as I want it to be. And the second piece then is storage in Kubernetes. And now, might have been a problem with Longhorn or all the other storage providers I worked with, but seemed like once a week, with Postgres, my pods were disconnected from storage, which meant then my database is down because who knows why. I felt like I was doing that for weeks and weeks. And so what I ended up doing was saying, you know what, Kubernetes is a great fit, but I can't run a dedicated cluster dedicated to it with dedicated nodes, outside of my existing cluster to do it right. So I'm going to take it out. So I've been running it as an LXC, actually. So I spun it up in LXC, got it working, got clustering working. It's been bulletproof. Zero downtime in over a month. Zero downtime. And with Kubernetes, it was, this is all anecdotal, right? And again, I was breaking a lot of best practices, like putting it in a shared environment. So anyways, it's been bulletproof. And I thought, well, you know what? I learned a ton while I did that. I may as well share it. So that's what I released this morning, was just like, hey, this is like me giving back, and like, here's some of the struggles I went through with Kubernetes. I decided to move it out of Kubernetes, and I decided to do it with LXCs or VMs in anyone's case. And it's working great. So yeah, that's been a fun one. Maelstrom, dude, thanks for the sub. 3 months, tier 2. Dude, thank you so much. Randoneering, how's it going, man? Resub Prime, 21 months. How's it going? Good to see you. Cheating, I guess I have to go back to anniversaries. Oh, man, dude, thanks. How's it going? So then the second thing that I've been working on, as some of you may know, has been 3D printing. And that has been a rabbit hole of rabbit holes. Like, it is awesome. Like, I'm totally, like, enjoying this journey of learning so much about oh, dude, Yocto, man. Yocto, what the heck, man? Dude, 100 subs? Seriously? Dude, are my eyes right? Dude, Yocto, man. My lights are like, they're going crazy. They're like, this is like a strobe warning, seizure warning. Dude, is that right? Oh my gosh, dude. Dude, Yocto, man, thank you so much. 100 subs. Like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. there are 100 subs that were gifted out. So almost everyone in the channel right now who didn't have a sub before pretty much has a sub. So there are a lot of people to call out, but definitely thank Yakto, the CEO of YWS, for your sub. Dude, thank you so much. That's like, what? Man, I appreciate it. Dude, that's wild. Whenever the dudes come out and the mans, and if I combine a dude and man together in the same sentence, that means I'm kind of speechless. So, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. But what was I saying? Oh, 3D printing has just been this wild ride, but it's been a fun ride. You know, usually when I go down the rabbit hole, I'm actually seeing if I brought something up that I printed, and they're all downstairs. But usually when I go down a rabbit hole, it's like, okay, you know, I'm maybe struggling or figuring some stuff out. But something that's like unique to 3D printing, as you figure this stuff out, you're like creating physical things that you can use. And so it's been really awesome. So yeah, I did get a printer. I did get a Black Friday special. The next day, I went back and bought another AMS, which is a feeder for my filament, because they were on Black Friday and because they were at Micro Center and I didn't have to pay shipping costs. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go get another one with the money I saved from the first one. And so it's been super fun. My setup now is pretty, I enjoy it. I last night I sent my first big print to the printer. And for me, that was just like, combining 3 models onto one plate and hitting print and then going to bed. And I was just kind of like, is it going to work? And yeah, flawless every time. So anyways, it's been an awesome journey. I'm just learning so much. I'm at the point right now where I'm buying PETG filament, because I want something that's a little bit stronger and withstands heat more than, PLA. And on top of that, I'm drying out my PETG and making sure that it's dry before I even put it in my AMS loader. And like, if I would have said that to myself last week, I would be like, what are you even talking about? So it's pretty funny. Red Baron, how many sailboats? I have put in Benchy. Let me see. All right, I'll bring up my first 2 prints. This is Benchy. This is 100% not calibrated. First print, only set up my printer for 30 minutes. And that's what it printed out. I think that's pretty good. This is me, I set up a printer, hit print, didn't know what I was doing, and this came out. And then this is SSD caddy for my servers. I'm going to print, I think, 6 of these over the next couple of days. I've been working up to this, and so this is like a sample. And so I did it in PLA first because I read that if you're going to put it in like a server, you kind of want something that can withstand heat over time. And so I bought a whole bunch of PETG HF in white, and I'm going to print out 6 of these caddies. And I've been working up to this point. You know, I've been drying out my filament. I've been printing other little things in PETG HF just to make sure, you know, it all works fine and that all of my filament's dry enough. So I think tonight I'm going to kick off. I'm going to print 6 of these so that I can convert 6 of my drives over to SSDs in my Storinator or my HL15 or both. So yeah, it's been wild. It's been wild. You know, the best part about all of this is like you get something. You physically get something out of it, and that's weird. And then someone in Discord helped me print an adapter. You can kind of see it back there for my clamp, and help design it. And Sunsuri. Oh man, I should look up your name because I can't pronounce it, but it's like Sunsuri. I in my head I was thinking of samurai, but it's very close to samurai, and I do apologize. Now I feel bad. I feel like a jerk. But it was. I want to get it right because it's not samurai, but it's really close to samurai. Oh my gosh, really? I'm gonna get it right. No, it's Solaris? Maybe it was. Oh yeah, Solaris. Why was I thinking it was something different than samurai? Solaris. Wait, Flares. Oh yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure because I don't want to say the right thing. No, it's not Sloraris. This is what I was thinking. It was kind of messed up. Sorry, I wanted to get it right. Sloraris. So anyways, so Sloraris helped me print out this adapter for a clamp that fits on a pole, like something super specific. And I was like, just like, hey, does anybody know how to solve this? And they said, hey, you could solve that by kind of using a clamp like you would on handlebars for a bike, but you could put it on there. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Designed the thing, printed it, first time, worked. And that was like, to me, that was like blowing my mind, because it's like, yesterday I had a problem. Someone found a solution for it, sent me the file, and I physically printed it out and, fixed this adapter. And it's just like, okay, like I get it now. It's not only trinkets, not only trinkets. I for a long time, I was like, yeah, a lot of trinkets and battery doors for remote controls, but it's so far beyond that now. So anyways, I'll stop talking about it. It is so much fun. And like, if you haven't done it and you're like, man, what is he talking about? I guarantee if you just buy one, within one day, you'll be speaking a different language like I am, because you learn so much. So anyways, wow, really quick, dude, Timboli, hey, thanks for the sub, appreciate it. And Mavi, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. All right, let's get into comments. I want to be sure that I can address your comments. And if you have something you want to share, throw it in the chat and we'll talk about it. I did miss a few comments at the beginning because I had to actually refresh some of my chat. So hopefully I'm not missing anything. So I actually won't be able to highlight some of these until we get to about here, I think. I don't know. No, I got it. I think so. We're just going to start here. I think this is pretty close. If I missed it, let me know. I need to figure out. Just yell at me in chat if I totally missed your comment, because I think this is right where we started. But anyways, let's see really quick. So let's get into chat. Owen loves rice. I love rice too. I really do. It's my comfort food. I got tube Activist set up this morning. Was watching your Postgres video on it. Awesome. Archivist. Sorry, not Activist. Awesome. Well, yeah, I haven't used it yet, but I assume it's a way to download videos, and keep them. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you got it. I have to check it out. Sounds awesome. I should set it up too. I have a laundry list of things I need to self-host, and so that is definitely going to be on my list. But let's see. Being a server hog, this is from the PC Geek, I have a pile of servers to sell, been sitting on them and buying some more, LOL. Yeah, it's, that can happen. I used to be really good about like, okay, as soon as I buy something new, I'm going to sell it. And now I've kind of been like, I'm just going to put it over here for a little bit. And I have that right now with a couple of laptops, a couple of monitors, a couple of servers. And so, yeah, I just need to spend a day to list everything everywhere, including some home goods here, and get it sold. But that's awesome, man. I think you told me about your server this morning, a 1U, I think 430. That's running pretty good, and you got pretty cheap. So pretty awesome. Let's see. I replaced Durentu. How's it going? I replaced my ML computer, so my machine learning computer. I think that's what it's standing for, I'm assuming. So I'm doing dual GPU through Proxmox and into Docker container, also reverse proxy on the same VM. That's awesome. That is awesome. So I assume from this, you got a new ML computer, and so maybe you pass down that second GPU to your servers. Either way, that is awesome. Yeah, a little bit of GPU goes a long way in a server, whether it's for transcoding or for AI ML stuff, it's pretty awesome, pretty incredible. Yakto, hey, how's it going? Hey, I loved, speaking of the CEO of YWS, and again, thanks for the 100 subs, it's incredible. Yakto saying, hey, Tim, loved the video, thank you. Been running almost identical Patroni HAProxy setup, and it's been a nightmare. Oh man, that's not good. The most common software that I use have a Postgres backend, Maz, Netbox, Mattermost. Yeah. Do not like connecting to HAProxy like that. Interesting. I've had better luck with putting pgbouncer, between HAProxy and the Postgres Patroni servers to handle connections. I looked at pgbouncer. And I kind of understand it and I know what it does, but that's a bummer, man. That is a bummer because I've been using it like this in my my production, all my Techno Tim stuff, and it's been up for a month and a half, and I'm running it exactly like this, and I have 3 or 4 services that connect to it. One gets hit decently hard. It's my short links API. So my short links API is all like behind, using Postgres on the back end. So that's a bummer, man. I will have to look into pgbouncer and also how it fits in between HAProxy and Postgres. Because the way I have mine set up, it's, HAProxy and then keep alive D creating that VIP. And so that VIP is going and checking to say, hey, HAProxy, are you alive? And if not, it's going to take that one out of the, out of the VIP pool. And then each of those HAProxies are querying Patroni to say, hey, who's the leader? And so I set mine up in a, single master multi-read mode. And I know that a lot of people, and it even supports it now, do multi-read, multi-master, multi-read, write, everything. It was a little bit too complicated for me. And I thought, hey, you know what? It's good enough. I'll just, the node that's alive will front all the writes. And all the other people will do reads too. So interesting. I'll have to look it up. It ran okay for a while, but then you get like 30 minutes of disconnects. HAProxy is only handling TCP connections. pgbouncer is actually aware of the application connections and will pull and reuse the application connections. I see what you mean. So the applications are connecting to. I see what you mean. Yeah. So your like connection string then is something in pgbouncer. So pgbouncer must have either some kind of VIP or something or some way that they all connect through one. But pretty awesome. I'll have to check it out. I went with Patroni because it was kind of easy and it was the first one I could really understand and it had pretty good support. But I'll have to check out pgbouncer. That's definitely, that one comes up all the time too when I look into it. But I'm kind of like, if it ain't broke, even though it sounds awesome, I'll have to check it out. Oh my gosh, I think some of this? Oh my gosh, if I miss your chat, I do apologize because I think I'm beyond now. I'm beyond where I can go back, so I need to get caught up a decent bit. I just got my rack choice, so this is from the Hitman. I just got my Rackmount NAS basically fully set up except for the Rails coming this Thursday. It currently has 8 terabyte Iron Wolves, 2 4 terabyte drives, and 500 gigabyte boot SSD, Samsung Evo. All right, that's my man. Got some of my backup server stuff. Currently waiting on my first ever Sliger case. All right, good choice. The CX3702, awesome. And I'm saving for my CX4712 for my AI server and my networking UPS, CyberPower. All right, yeah, CyberPower 1500 VA. All of that sounds familiar. I know almost all of those. I don't know the differences between those two Sliger cases, but if it's Sliger case, I know it's awesome. So awesome, man! Congratulations, that is awesome. And I've also been working on a mod for my old Cisco Catalyst 2960 with Noctua fans since it's a hypersonic jet on startup. Yeah, for sure. It'll probably be awesome. But yeah, I can imagine, especially like older networking gear, they're just like full blast, tiny 40 millimeter fans, full blast. And so yeah, Noctua will definitely clear that up. And funny, I have something coming up. Noctua sent me, totally random. They sent me, and I'll have it coming up in a little bit. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome and pretty random how they got a hold of me, but I'm glad they did. I don't know what that emote is. I can't, but hey, how's it going? Just space bar. Music driver, nice, haha. Tim is not reading and not answering fast enough for all these early messages. Yeah, and you know what? All those early messages just got clipped, so I do apologize. Throw your message. If I'm past the part where you already posted your message, repost please, and I'll figure it out. Beat it. That's the subs. Budney, hey, how's it going? Waiting for my Mac Mini M4 to arrive. Then I need to start my rack shuffling cleanup. Hey, I hear you. So Mac Mini M4, awesome. Awesome. It's like the one of the best machines you can get. What, I think it's $5.99 to start. Like their intro machine is exactly like, it's such a great deal, you know, for the base model. And once you start expanding from there and adding RAM or adding storage, it gets a little more expensive. But yeah, pretty awesome. I haven't used one yet. I've seen them. I have a Studio right now and an old MacBook on Intel, so, but it looks awesome for sure. Like if I could get Linux on those, oh man, I know that, I forget the version of Linux. There's a version of Linux that's being worked on. It's a Japanese name and I totally forget it. But anyways, if those could run Linux, that would be really awesome. It would be really awesome. Asahi, thank you. Asahi. Thank you. Yeah, if those ran Asahi, or just give me Linux. Really, if they ran Ubuntu, like if Ubuntu just put some time into it and got Ubuntu on there, that would be awesome. That's crazy speak for them to go and support a different processor, but man, then you could load up on, you know, those exact base model, you know, Mac Minis and have a crazy cluster really fast, but awesome. Mamens, hey, how's it going, Mamens? Good to see you. I am Upa. Hey, are you planning to make the HomeLab Tour 2025 video? That video is always really helpful for different project ideas. Yes, I am. Yes, good question. Is it late 2024 or early 2025? We'll find out here soon. I'm aiming for a late 2024. I'm aiming for that. I'm actually hoping that's my last video of the of the year. But if not, it will be in 2025 early. And then I'm not only going to walk through the hardware, but I'm also going to walk through the software too. So yes, both of those are coming. I do it every year, and it's super fun to kind of look back and see where my stuff was last year and where it is this year. Kind of spread out some stuff this year, so it'll be fun. But thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, and I can't wait to share it. Let me see. Lots of notifications. I appreciate it. My project finally a real network design upgrade. Wait, my project finally a real network design upgrade. All right. All that mess I created now forms a real design, virtual and physical together, and now time for a proper IP distribution. Enough with random range picks. Music driver, that sounds awesome. Yeah, it's nothing like kind of like starting over or like straightening out your network. It's pretty much the foundation of your whole entire home lab and even your house. And if you start building on old patterns, it gets really hard to switch later. It's like the definition of tech debt. You do something really quick and you're like, yeah, I'll fix that later. And then you don't fix it later, so you follow the same pattern that you did before, and then you keep snowballing all your tech debt. And you're like, oh man, like I shouldn't have done that for so long. And sometimes you got to pay it down. But when you do pay it down and you do it right, you're in a good spot. So I was like that for a long time. Weird ranges, weird no VLANs, weird DNS. And I just decided, you know what? It's going to be heck here for a week or two on my network. But I segmented stuff out in VLANs, got all my DNS going, and it was great. So I'd recommend, like, if you're going to do new subnets or VLANs, and you're going to set up DNS, I would recommend creating DNS entries at the same time too, because that's something like for some devices you'll never go back to them, you know. But if you're touching that device once, it's good to do DNS at the same time. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty fun. Yeah, send significant other on vacation while you do it. Win-win for sure. Every major thing like that has been like when my wife is gone. One time I did have to redo some stuff. And I took our main network off. I took all the devices off our main network, and I set up this old like Linksys router that I have in a box. It's like my ultimate backup if something goes wrong, and advertise the same SSID. And I'm like, okay, now it seems like, every device thinks it's on the same network. Well, at least it can get to the internet, but I'm going to redesign a whole thing and take some stuff down. So yeah, keep that in your back pocket too. If you're going with new hardware, I would say do as much as you can ahead of time. Like if you can, just set up a VLAN or set up, plug your new hardware into old hardware, even if you have double NAT, and configure that way as much as you can. Because once you switch over, it gets painful. It gets painful. So awesome, but that sounds fun for sure. I'm Upa. Did you push that RGB light project to Docker Hub or keep it in your private repo? RGB lights. It's in my private repo. Mainly because I totally added it on to my existing code. So I have a Twitch bot that's in here right now. That's always listening for commands like the banana command or whatever command. But it also listens for events from Twitch, like, hey, a new sub, or hey, bits. And when that event fires, then I have code that says, hey, on bits or whatever, on cheer, I think it's called cheer in code, or on sub, execute this code. And the code that it's executing now is going out to Home Assistant and telling Home Assistant to do stuff. So yeah, if I could redo it, or if it was for real, yeah, I would create a microservice architecture, and that, if it was for work, it would be microservice architecture where I'd have one dedicated microservice that was only, dedicated to controlling home stuff, right? And then layer everything on under that, which would be Home Assistant plus lights plus other things that aren't in Home Assistant. And then my bot would call that. But, I thought like doing a microservice here would have been a little bit overkill. But anyways, yeah, so at the end of the day, really, I'm just the only important piece now is I write code against Home Assistant. And their API is open and you can read about it. So if you have one light in Home Assistant and you generate a key for yourself, you could test it with a curl request. You could curl into Home Assistant and say, turn this light on, turn it off, turn it off, do whatever you want. And that's what I do. And what I did was create a scene in Home Assistant, save the scene. Now it's super easy. Now I just say, hey, when someone redeems Tokyo Nights, apply the Tokyo Nights theme inside of Home Assistant. So that's all I do. I take as many shortcuts as possible. For a while, I was doing each individual light, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I just need to create a scene and apply the scene. So, yeah, but good question. To be honest, I don't mind watching this guy 4 to 5 hours. Oh, that would be a lot. I honestly, I could go on for 4 to 5 hours, but man, I would just be like, woof. You guys would be tired. I would be tired, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Music driver. Oh, I say early, Tim. I have a little problem getting wrapped around Proxmox SDN. I have multiple ETH interfaces. I wish a video from you for Proxmox SDN with multiple interfaces. That is something that I have not looked into yet. So I know that they have SDN, software-defined networking within Proxmox, and I know it's there. I'm going to be honest, I've been kind of ignoring it. And that's kind of how I am. And it's not just because like, hey, I don't want to learn stuff. I feel like, one, I only have so much time to learn stuff in a day. And two, I feel like I only have so much brain capacity. So it's like first in, last out. Yeah. And it's just this stack. And the more I push in here, this other stuff is just streaming out the back. I'm kidding. But I would love to learn it some more. And yeah, maybe that's a video in the future. I think Aparl's World, I can never get his name right, but I'm in a Discord with him, and I think he did a video on SDN, so SDN WAN, so not SDN WAN, SDN Proxmox networking. So I should look into it. I need to know. Yeah, it's like Aparl. I can't say it. Apalgard. I don't know if it's Apalgard. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna totally look. In the Discord that I'm in with him. No, it's like Aparl's World. I'm so bad. But anyways, he has a video on it, and I'm looking for his last chat, and I'm not seeming to find it. So anyways, yeah, you should totally look at his video until then. But I need to find a use case for it too, right? I most of the stuff that I do, it's because I've done it or want to do it. And so if it's both, then it's great. It's my wheelhouse. So let's see. Big Blue Blade. Never could understand how Twitch worked. Maybe need to watch some more content there. Yeah, Twitch is, it's a little bit different, especially from YouTube. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a streaming platform with chat. Would you prefer database or object storage? I think they're both trying to solve different problems, right? they can solve the same problems. You can jam objects inside of a database. Totally doable. You could jam a binary inside of a database, but probably not great for access then, right? And so if you think about like, what depends on the type of database, but database is usually storing and retrieving data, right? Maybe structured in a certain way. If you have a schema, maybe it's transactional, maybe it's not, maybe you have no schema. So there are lots of types of databases, and it's just, a place to store data structured in a certain way. And object stores is more like, hey, storing binaries or storing individual files. So file level storage over HTTP, the protocol. Unstructured. It can be structured if you create files and folders or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's really hosting files. So if you think of Drive, Dropbox, that's kind of at the end of the day, what S3 is kind of sort of doing. Hosting a file. So they solve different problems, and I say both. And so I have used both. And my Postgres server actually streams its walls, so it's transactions, logs, to be able to replay them to an S3 or MinIO bucket, so that if the server goes down, it can be restored from there, and it can replay all the transactions. So they're definitely solving different things. Some people will try to use one for the other, but yeah, different things for sure. Those are, I should read your guys' things right after. Those are two completely separate concepts. Yeah, they are for sure. Solving different problems, for sure. Big Blue Blade, storage services should be separated into its own case cluster. Hey, Big Blue Blade, I agree. Like, for a lot of things, and this is what, for a lot of things should be running in their own. All right. Let me separate this. You can avoid the noisy neighbor syndrome, where one pod or whatever service in your cluster takes too much CPU, takes too much RAM, takes too much disk or IO. You can avoid that, yes, by creating a new cluster, but then you have two clusters to manage. What we do at work is create a new node pool. And so what we do is we say, hey, these 6 nodes, virtual machines, whatever, are dedicated only to like GitLab, right? Or dedicated only to Kafka, right? And so that ensures that those pods or those services only run on those nodes. And so that's how we do it at work. We instead of creating multiple clusters, although we have a couple, we dedicate services to node pools, and those node pools only run specific workloads. And so you get the benefit of separating out those workloads and making sure that, one's not taking down the other, or especially if you have, latent sensitive workloads like databases or etcd. You can dedicate those to specific nodes, and then you're like, cool, like Postgres. Like I could do that. Instead of a whole new cluster, I could, buy 3 more servers and dedicate those as nodes within Kubernetes and just say, this is Postgres only, but that's a lot of money and a lot of work. But no, absolutely. But if you want to separate, your concerns totally, different teams are managing this cluster, or, different security or IAM needs to be applied to this cluster. Absolutely. You brand new cluster, treat it like 2. But if you're okay with a shared cluster, but dedicated nodes, that's how you can go. That's how you can do a little bit of both. Oh, let's see. Oh, whoa. Nanobug. All right, Nanobug GG. Hello, Tim. I've looked at your videos, especially Kubernetes, but I realized something. No matter how smart Kubernetes is, you can still make things too complex for you to handle it. Yeah, which made me realize that I don't need Kubernetes. I can still make a bunch of HA stuff in different ways, or just cluster hypervisors. I still love your content and I watch most of it, but a thing that might be worth looking into, I'll let you decide on that, follow up, or different setups than yours. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Nanobug, hey, I mean, that's exactly what I did today. So I'm not only Kubernetes. I know it might have seemed like that for a while, but I love Kubernetes. I'm not going to lie. But I realized that, it's a hammer when sometimes all you need is a screwdriver. Like, I totally get it. And you want to use the right tool for the job. And today's video was not Kubernetes. It was about exactly what you're saying, creating HA services to handle it without Kubernetes. And that's exactly what today's video was, hey, let's create a database cluster, the hard way. That's what I should have named the video. Postgres clustering the hard way, because it's not using any tools to help you out. Obviously, you're using services to help you out, but you're not using any kind of automation. You're not using containers. You're not using Kubernetes. You're barely using YAML, and you have a couple of config files. So, but yeah, I totally agree. And if you think that I only do Kubernetes stuff, that's not your fault. That's the algorithm's fault, right? Kubernetes, the YouTube is saying like, hey, we think you want this stuff. And that's how the algorithm works. So I do a lot more than just that. But I appreciate that feedback. And that's great feedback. Like, these are the kind of things that I love hearing. Even if you think it's hard for me to hear, I love hearing it because that helps me understand like where, helps me keep my finger on the pulse. So I appreciate it. Oh, wait, I can't point out a specific thing right now since it's just on the top of my head. Good job. I love you. Okay, man. I appreciate it. No problem at all. And again, like, dude, there are no hard feelings. If you don't like something I do, I want to hear it, and I never feel bad about it. I mean, unless it's like personal tech kind of stuff, whatever. But like constructive feedback, I love it. And like I said, today I released something that was not in Kubernetes. Not even a container. Like that's kind of rare. Like usually it's like, okay, if it's not Kubernetes, it's a container. But today was neither of those. So anyways, appreciate the feedback. I appreciate it. Toot train. All right. Oh my gosh. This is how my chat got bumped, because 100 of these messages. I need to learn to filter those out. Let me make sure. Hayes Just Godly. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Timboli. Did I say that? Subscribe with Prime. I don't think I did. And if I didn't call that out, I'm sorry. So Timboli. Hey, thanks for the Prime sub. If I missed that, I apologize. Okay. Let me see. Oh my gosh, I'm still scrolling. Yakto. Still scrolling. Still scrolling. Can't seem to get my okay. I think this is where it picks back up. Out of the box, prints are amazing. All right, can't seem to get my E5 Plus dialed in just right. Oh yeah, so this is going back to 3D printers. I have a huge appreciation for those that like love 3D printers and want to know how they work and will like tune and tweak everything and know like, hey, this filament plus this temperature plus this bed temp plus this nozzle will get you the perfect print. I can't appreciate those types of folks enough. But that's for me, that was for me at least kind of I don't want to say a roadblock, but a steep on-ramp for me. And so that's kind of why I always held back, because I thought like, a lot of people would tell me, oh, as soon as you get your 3D printer, you're going to print tons of parts. I'm like, why am I going to print parts? Doesn't it like come with all the parts? Like, it's just like how my brain worked. I was like, well, I just bought this. I might buy it. Like, why do I have to like fix it right away? And that's kind of what I was thinking in my head. What I didn't realize is people were saying like, you're not going to print parts. Well, maybe. What I think most people are trying to say, you're gonna find lots of accessories for your printer that you'll wanna have, right? You're gonna find little tools to take things on and off. You're gonna find scrapers to get stuff on and off. You're gonna find these little tubes for desiccant, to hold the silica gel pods or whatever to take the moisture out of the stuff. So that was one thing I was like, oh my gosh, I wish someone would have said to me, it's most of the time it's not printer parts, but it's like accessories for your printer. And that's what I think is really cool about 3D printers is like people are like accessorizing. So, and I think of it like a lot of the stuff I do. When I built my one-use servers for the first time, I'm like, okay, I want this server, I want this CPU, I want this RAM, this much RAM, I want these drives, all SSDs, need some brackets, and the whole 9 yards. And I picked every single part to make sure that server performed the way I wanted it to. And so people feel that same way about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. 3D printers is absolutely one. Some people are that way with sound, with anything, right? Or gear, camera gear. They just go all out. And so that's what I realized is like, man, this is like, this hobby can go really deep. It can go really deep. And so I'm not ready to go there yet. I kind of like that my printer, I hit print and, outside of 2 times, it's printed perfect. The first time I think was my bad because I didn't pick the right bed or something. That's something I wish my software would just remember my bed. The other time was I have no idea what happened. I just had to cancel it and scrape the stuff off. But other than that, it's printing perfect stuff every time. And like, again, I knew nothing about it. But again, I have appreciation for people dialing in stuff. Because my dialing in is hit print and then like watch it for the first like 5 minutes to make sure it's okay and then walk away. Oh, the clamp looks great. Oh, Owen loves rice. Thank you. I don't know if this is Sloraris, but if it is, dude, thank you. I don't know if it is, but yeah, the clamp is working out great. I still have to put rug tape on it. So I totally just wrapped it with cabinet liner, and that's not tacky or grippy enough to grip on that bar. So I'm going to wrap it with rug liner or rug tape that you use to keep rugs down that's really tacky, and that'll hold it right in place. If not, worst case scenario, now that I have that secure, I can just print. I can modify the print that I got to make a little bar so that it basically can't move. I could even print something that slips around the bar so it can't move too. Like there's so many options. It's like really, it's like Legos, but even more flexible than Legos. It's like way beyond. It's pretty awesome. Hey, Virtual Alex. What up, Tim and everyone? Been a while working on setting up my Turing Pi board with the RK1 modules this weekend. That is awesome. I hope it's fun. It sounds sweet. So the Turing Pi is a Pi cluster board, single board with 4 slots for compute modules or boards that you can plug into it. And the RK1 then is Turing Pi's SBC. And really performant, really fast. And I think they have onboard encoding, decoding. They have stuff on board. Anyways, that's awesome. Geerling actually sent me 3 that I haven't used yet. So Geerling was like, hey, got any use for these? And I was like, yeah, I'll find a use, but I haven't plugged them into my Turing Pi yet. So, and I still have I have an old engineering model that I need to flash. So Hobbies. Yeah, totally Hobbies. Yeah, it totally is Hobbies, right? Big Blue Blade, there was a modular under the desk cable routing 3D print system that everyone uses. Yeah, but I forgot the name, meaning to start that project for my first project. Yeah, it's Alex from Self-Hosted Podcast sent it to me. It's, I forgot what it's called. It's I don't know. But yeah, there's modular everything. There's like modular pegboards. There's like modular drawer, stuff. There's modular cabling stuff. I'm like, ooh. But the one thing I have to print out for my wife is a new or a customized. Hopefully, I can figure it out. Like a silverware drawer holder because we can't buy one the right shape. And I was like, I know how we can solve this. And so this is my one chance to like get it right. No, she's already saw the stuff I printed and she's like, whoa, this is crazy. I was like, I know. Like we're like in the future right now. Oh, anyways, CTP vibes. Gridfinity, Red Baron. Yeah, there you go. Gridfinity was the stuff that I also saw. Yeah, that is like mind-boggling. That's the stuff I was talking about when you can like modularize stuff in drawers or organizers. Maybe Gridfinity for that drawer. I'll see. My wife is just like, we just need like, a 3, I don't know what to call it, 3-bay, drawer that's this long, this wide, because we can't find them. And I don't think my printer is long enough to print that. So, yeah, might have to upgrade. I'm not going to upgrade, but yeah, Gridfinity, good call on that. There's something though with cabling too. I forgot the name. I think it has kind of a cheeky name. I forget what it is. Just kind of I don't know, little innuendo, but I forgot. How does Postgres work with PostgreSQL? How does PostgreSQL work with Proxy SQL? I don't know. I don't know Proxy SQL. I don't know. So I assume it's a proxy or a load balancer, or a connection manager, like Yakto was talking about a little bit earlier, to go in front of Postgres. I assume. This is me just assuming. Proxy, it's usually, one or two connections in, a couple connections out. Reverse proxies like the other way, reverse funnels. So yeah, I assume. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. We talked about that, but yeah, so this is going back to pgbouncer, which I need to check out. Yeah. Yeah, you can connect pgbouncer, and then Bouncer handles the query to Patroni. I see. Yeah, because Patroni is the one that has the endpoint up that figures out who's the current leader. So yeah, I'll have to check out pgbouncer. Maybe I'll make the switch, but my stuff is like, it's running. I kind of feel like, I don't even want to breathe on it after all like the Kubernetes madness that was going on. Again, not Kubernetes' fault. A lot of it's, storage is fault. Maybe Longhorn, who knows? Maybe part of it's Kubernetes, because I don't have this problem with a lot of other things. But storage in Kubernetes is painful. That's why I like stateless stuff. Like, who cares? I'll spin up 50 of them, tear down 50 of them, and I don't have to worry about pods trying to connect to storage claims over and over and over, or not connecting to them, or not releasing them. And that's the biggest part, is like pods will not release, their connection to that storage. And that's how I get in trouble, and that happens twice. My Postgres cluster used to be down, but nope. Now it's on LXC and zero downtime in over a month. Even through reboots. And it's just like, yeah, just reboot one of them. So it's super nice. I can patch, one whole hypervisor at a time, bring a whole hypervisor down, and everything I run is still up. And then, because I have two more hypervisors running in my colo, so it's pretty awesome. Sorry for the broken grammar. Was typing too fast? Hitman, no, it's all good. I have terrible grammar. I have no excuse. Oh yeah, stepped away for a bit. That was Yakto for sure. The 3702, all right, is the 3U case with hot swap and supports SFX, micro ATX, and the 4712 is basically the Sliger version of the HL15. Awesome. That is awesome. I have a 4U Sliger. I keep saying I want to use it, but I have a 4U Sliger. I don't know which model it is. I know it's a 4 something, 43 something. I don't know, but it's one that can actually fit a full-size video card, and can actually has a radiator too if I want to put it in there. So it's pretty awesome, and it supports a smaller all-in-one cooler that I also have. So I'm looking forward to that build. I hope I can do it soon. But I think I have another build coming up too. Mr. Jobot, let me grab a drink really quick. Hey Tim, just wanted to say that you and a few others have inspired me to attempt launching a YouTube channel. Awesome. Haven't recorded anything yet, but will be focused on the cloud and securing it. Mr. Jobot, that is awesome. That sounds like a great topic. It sounds fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people want to know how to secure things in the cloud, or security in general. It's a hot thing. That is awesome. My advice to you is just do it. Just do it. Just hit record. And don't worry about mic. Don't worry about video. Don't worry about like 1,000 things you have to do before you hit record. Because most likely your first one's not going to be great. I mean, unless you're used to like running, meetings or doing forums or talks in general, your first one's not going to be great. Who knows? I could be wrong, but it takes a while to figure stuff out, and you never do. I'm still figuring stuff out. So, but I say just do it. Just like Nike, just do it, because you'll get better over time, and it's super fun. Let's see. The Red Baron. Hey, Red Baron. So, send any SO on vacation while you do it. Win-win. Yeah, man. Yeah, I just realized who you are. I see in your avatar. What's up, dude? How's it going? And I read that earlier, but I saw it. How's it going? I know him IRL. But I didn't realize it was him until I actually saw his avatar, and I was like, oh, I know that. That's Snoopy on there, the Red Baron. Hi, Swiss Techno Tom. All right, my brother out there. Hi, Tim. Hope you're fine. Do you use S3 object storage in your infrastructure or hosted in a cloud provider? Remember, you use MinIO, not? Yeah, good question. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. So yeah, I do use object storage, and it is self-hosted in my infrastructure. It's actually self-hosted on TrueNAS. So for a while, I had it in Kubernetes, but then that was, again, kind of a bad idea because the things I store in MinIO were my backups for my database. That was also in Kubernetes. So I was like, okay, like this is a big single point of failure. I have no way to restore my volumes if this happens. So anyway, so then I moved it to TrueNAS, and I was like, this is great because, it's a storage service. I'm already running NFS, SMB, it fits right in because it's storage. Yes, it's object storage, but at the end of the day, it's just storage. And so that's where I'm hosting it now. And then, TrueNAS switched over to containers, and I switched that over. It's flawless. And it's the only container that I'm running on TrueNAS for now. I got some big plans to redo some stuff, but it's the only one, and it's running there. And it's running great. And the way that I look at it, like, should it be HA? Maybe. But most of the things I store in there are backups, right? They're backups of logs, backups of Kubernetes volumes, and backups of, the walls, which are pretty important. But the way I look at it was like, well, okay, I'm not going to build out some new cluster to host this thing. And so I put it right on my storage. And I just think like, hey, my storage is rarely ever down. And if it is, I have bigger problems than MinIO being down, right? And so I was just like, well, I do everything I can to keep my NAS up, right? I think a lot of us do, unless you don't depend on it. And so if my NAS is down, I have bigger problems than MinIO being down. So anyways, yeah, so I use it. I used it a ton. It's just rock solid. It's running all day. Things are getting backed up to it all the time. If I ever need to restore, my databases, or I ever need to restore my volumes in Kubernetes, that's how I do it. I also do something that might be weird, but I also do a dump of my databases. So I have Postgres, I have MySQL, and I have MongoDB all running. And I use like Mongo dump, MySQL dump, whatever, PG dump to dump my databases, I think daily. And then I will store that SQL or that dump in a file by itself. And the reason why I do that is because like I don't want to have to restore a virtual machine just to get my database back, right? Because in a disaster recovery scenario, what would happen, right? Hey, Proxmox is totally down, but I need to get my database up as quick as possible. And sure, I could just say, well, it'll be up whenever I get Proxmox running again, whenever I restore that VM, and, whenever I restore my Kubernetes cluster, like, the list goes on and on and on. And I thought, well, I'd rather just dump that SQL, or, MySQL dump, PG dump, whatever, that database itself and all the tables somewhere else so that, like, in a pinch, if I just need to spin up a Raspberry Pi and host, whatever on it, Postgres, just, for a day, I could just restore the database there. So, but yeah, so I do that too. And that's, and that I learned that because when I was hosting stuff in Kubernetes, I realized like how difficult it was to like restore files in Kubernetes or get to files. And so I used to store them in a Kubernetes volume or on disk in Kubernetes. And I was like, this is so hard to get in and out of Kubernetes. So I was like, I'm just gonna write them to MinIO or an object storage bucket. And so I can just go through my storage bucket. I can see every backup for, a couple of months. And I'm like, oh, if I want that, it's tarballed and GZ'd and zipped up and compressed. Just download it. It's a couple megabytes because when you compress SQL, it's tiny because it's all text. And then I could even spin up the database here locally and then run it really quick to do some tests or whatever. So long story short, Yes, I do use it. More than I guess I think. I totally forgot how much I use it. But it's so solid that I don't even think about it. And I'm only using it for disaster recovery stuff right now. You can use it for anything. Like we were talking about earlier, object storage. It could be used for anything because, it's kind of like a web file system, right? And so you wanted to run your own whatever, Dropbox or Dropbox replacement or whatever, like that would be a good file storage system for that. Like is NFS or something? Maybe. But at the end of the day, like it's gonna serve those files out over HTTP protocol. So I think a lot of times, like, object storage is just a good fit for that. So, but I do use it a ton. I forget how much I use it. Nerd addict. Hey, found out the reason for my Proxmox without UI. Failing system drive, new SSD took care of it. Now shoving Tesla M40s into Ollama VM on the same machine, getting low on PCIe lanes. That's awesome. Yeah, because I think last week, or it's probably 2 weeks ago. Sorry, I wasn't here last week. I forgot to mention that. I think you were running into a problem where it wouldn't start, right? And I think it wouldn't start. I can't remember if that was the one where I was like, reseat RAM or something like that. But that's awesome. Failing SSD. Glad you figured it out. And let me know how the Tesla M40s with Ollama works. Because I know, Ollama, it's a couple of things, or requires a couple of things. One, a modern GPU to be able to process those requests and be able to do so many tokens, right? Tops, how many tokens per second can it do? So there's one piece, high computation. And then on top of that, it's storing the LLMs in memory. So it's a combination of two things. How fast, can it process those tokens, and how much memory does it have to store the LLM in? And so you got to have both of those for it to be, a good experience. And if you don't have one, or you have one or the other, it's still not a good experience because, it's either going to be swapping stuff in and out of memory, to disk, or it's just not going to be fast enough to process that stuff in memory. So yeah, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I'm always curious on like enterprise stuff, how it handles stuff like LLMs for sure. Frank Barr, hey, how's it going? My project at the moment is Unify G4 Doorbell Pro. Awesome. Finger scan via TCP to Node-RED, and thus control the front door, lock, and garage door. Greetings from Germany, Frank. Frank, that is awesome. Frank, that is awesome. So one, you got a G4 Doorbell Pro, pretty sweet. And then now it supports the finger scanning, which is pretty awesome. Then you're going to use Node-RED for automation so that you can lock the garage door. Oh, okay. And thus control the front door lock and the garage door. Okay. So you're saying, hey, when I finger scan it, it's going to open both. It's going to, open my garage door or unlock my doors, or both. That is pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I don't have a G4 Pro. Maybe I do. I might. But anyways, that is pretty awesome. I still have the original one installed, and so I haven't done a Pro one yet. I know that they have the Wi-Fi one, and they have the PoE one. I want to do the PoE one, but I read with the PoE one, you can't like chime your mechanical chime. You can only do the digital chime. So we already have a doorbell chime, so I kind of need both. So I don't know. I stuff to figure it out. But that is awesome. Congratulations. That sounds like a fun project. I like projects like that. Like when it comes to Wi-Fi or installing new stuff, I love it because it's like something like physical, not just like activity wise. That's good too. But it's something I can touch, go install, and on top of that is technology. So whenever I get to do stuff like that, like access points, upgrade, replace, it's pretty fun because yeah. Okay, I thought it'd be public for general use. Ooh, I must have missed something. Custom add-on for Home Assistant. Hey, Big Blue Blade. Hey, dude. Wow, man. Dude, Big Blue Blade. Dude, thank you so much. 5 community subs. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for gifting the sub. This one I can actually read out because it's not 100. Monkey Boy, Wizpo, Alfie Truss, Scream 100R, Sinal 88. Enjoy a gifted sub from Big Blue Blade. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Awareness-in, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Ash Go TOW, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Bedrock Master BG, thank you all for the follow. He is just godly also with the follow. Appreciate it. If I didn't call those out earlier, appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. Let's see. I have to Maelstrom. I have to learn to clone myself to have time for all the stuff: 3D printing, home labbing, home assistant, music making, soldering, programming, plus work and family, or schedule my life really hard. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's hard to have even two hobbies that you're really into, you know? It's hard to have two hobbies that you're really into. Unless they overlap a little bit. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's just like you gotta retire. I mean, what else is there to do? You just gotta retire and start doing them. Because why wait on all the stuff you want to do then? You want to do it now. No, I totally get it. I totally get it. I get myself in trouble with hobbies, and I thought that was what was going to happen with 3D printing. It's pretty nice with 3D printing that it's kind of like async. You know, now that I have things working, it's kind of like, yeah, print something, come back in a couple of hours. So that's pretty cool. That like it's doing it behind the scenes, and I'm at a point where I don't have to touch stuff and like send stuff to the printer. It's pretty cool. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. Hobbies are definitely fun. And they are definitely hard to have multiple and have time for everything else, right? People want your time for a good reason, you know. Music driver. Oh, wait. Sorry, man. Missed this one. Job discussion, school or certifications, opinions. That one, I mean, that one's kind of open-ended. And that one's, I think, a little bit too general. I think you can go both ways on both stuff. Like, there are reasons to go to school still. There are reasons to get certification still. There are reasons to not do either, right? And so it just depends. The line of work you're going into, you're probably talking about tech. But I know people who are in tech and work for Fortune 50 companies who never went to college, you know. But then on top of that, I know people who then went to college, got master in computer science, and now they're at those same companies at different roles. So kind of goes both ways, you know, it goes both ways. And then certifications, at least in development, I haven't seen a lot of, as a software developer, I haven't seen a lot of certifications that have helped people, at least in this line of work. You know, it's more about, hey, show me your GitHub, show me what we can do. Let's whiteboard some stuff. Let's write some code. You know what I mean? And so I could say I'm certified in something, code-wise, but at the end of the day, they're going to be like, well, show me, you know? So but then when you get into cloud, when you get into, IT infrastructure, yes, they seem super important to me. From the outside looking in, they do, because how much, emphasis a lot of people put on it. But again, like at least in the infrastructure world, I'm kind of an outsider looking in. You know, I don't have a day job as an infrastructure person unless you count Kubernetes at a small startup as infrastructure. So yeah, I don't have a good litmus test for that, at least for what I do in my daily. But yeah, it goes both ways. But like I said, in software development, I know people that didn't go to college, you know, and started coding in high school and work for really large companies. And so, yeah, I guess it just goes back to what someone that I worked with always used to say is just like, bring your skills, you know, not your titles. So you just got to show them what you could do. Music driver, yes, VLANs, P2P connections, some double NAT. It's a whole overhaul, all right, but designing it with a smile on my face, all right. It's on the drawing board, almost finished. So going back to your networks, awesome. So you're doing all the things. You're doing all the things. VLANs, peer-to-peer connections, double NAT, you name it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Again, like pencil in DNS in there somewhere. And if you have even a small DNS system, Pi-hole, or even if it has DNS on the router itself, like UDMs and stuff support now, and you can create host entries on a lot of routers. For things that have static IPs, I would say use DNS too. You know, it's remembering IPs is hard. You know, it's hard. I mean, at least for a majority of them. I mean, it's the whole reason why DNS exists and stinks at the same time. Let's see. I'm trying to multitask, but daughter is complaining about me not having time to play Roblox enough. That is awesome. Oh, okay. I know what just happened. That is I know what just happened. I was like, did my camera overheat? And no, it didn't, because I have a new camera. I was ready to just like think like, I thought we solved this problem. This is real life dark mode. Real life dark mode. Oh, give me 1 second. I gotta figure out a better way to do this. So yeah, maybe it's gonna be coming back on here in a second. So I know what happened. That was real life dark mode. So anyways, so I got a new camera, and my old one used to overheat. So when I would see that, I'm like, oh, it's overheating. It's too warm in here. Got to open the battery door, turn a fan on. That's not what happened. It ran out of batteries. I forgot that I had to transfer some files off of it a little bit ago. And because of that, I plugged it into my machine. So it's been running battery this whole time. Anyways, I need to figure out a better workflow so I can just pull stuff off that wirelessly and never have to plug it in. So anyways, don't fear. I'm still here. So, but you were talking about, hey, yeah, Roblox enough. Yeah, that, man, but oh, that's so awesome. Like if I had a daughter ask me to play Roblox, I'd be all over that. Oh, let's see, Trey Pop, I spend all day getting Debian and XP to dual boot on my IBM ThinkPad 242. Dude, I had a T42. Talk about one of the best machines ever. Like ThinkPads in general, you know, they're awesome. I had a ThinkPad, this goes way back. So I had a X40, those were the little ones. An X41, that was a little bit better little one. I had a T40, I had a T41, I had a T42. Then I think there was a T42E or something maybe, but I had a W610. That was the engineering model. That was like full on like awesome desktop, but a laptop. And I think that's it. I don't know. I love ThinkPads. I still have a T40. I have a T40. It's actually running Windows 11 because it can 10 because it can kind of run it, and I have WSL running on it. And the only reason why I did that is because like at least the remote client for getting to Windows sucked at the time, but it's probably a lot better now. But that is awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of ThinkPads. ThinkPads they're so awesome. I still love them. I know a lot of people are a fan of the nubs. I never liked the nubs. A lot of people like the nub. I'm not a nub fan, but I don't know. They are awesome. Let's see. Hey Tim, any suggestion for homelab SSO to avoid using username and passwords for all the services? Yeah, that one's tough. That one's tough. Well, yeah. So one, there are options, right? There are options. The names, a lot of my, there's a ton of options. I can't even think off the top of my head. It's like, 5 things. But the solution you pick isn't as important as making sure that the services that you're using can actually use, single sign-on or OAuth. You're probably talking about OAuth, I assume. And then maybe single sign-on as well. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of solutions out there. I forget the 2 off the top of my head. It's a German company. I can't remember. I'm gonna look. I don't know. Authelia, Authentic, Keycloak. Yeah, those are the usual suspects. So, like any of those are going to be great. I used Authelia as a auth proxy, really, right? To kind of get in the middle and say, hey, you have to authenticate to this thing first, right? And that's how a lot of them work, but it didn't give me single sign-on, right? It gave me one credential to use in multiple places, but really single sign-on says I don't need to sign on multiple times because it trusts my identity provider across all of these services. So anyways, I'm not going to get super like technical on it, but yeah, Keycloak, any of those will work fine. Like Keycloak, Authelia, Authentic, they're all going to be great. Some are more challenging than others. And so I only use them as an auth proxy to do that. So anyways, yeah, those are probably good. Any of those will be great. I think Authelia, in order of how complex they are, I think Authelia is probably the easiest. I haven't done Keycloak, but that sounds pretty complex. And then I'm familiar with Authentic, and Christian has a video on that too. So Christian, he's done a video on it. That might be a good video to check out to say, hey, is this for me? But they were all pretty. I'm okay with complexity. But at the end of the day, I needed something lighter, and I wasn't willing to like redo, build an IAM and identity solution when I just needed, authentication. So anyways, Gunny, Keycloak is the bane of my existence in the moment. Had to pick up poorly botched together environment. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah. Doesn't it stink when you have to like, I don't know, clean up after someone else in IT? You're just like, oh man, what are you doing? I don't know. PC Geek says it's not 100% either. Some services don't handle auth headers. Yeah, so you still need to log in yet again. Yeah, that's a good point too, right? If you're using an auth proxy and you authenticate to the man in the middle, the auth proxy, and give them your auth credentials, and you get those credentials back, the service that you're sending those auth headers to might not support it, so I have to sign in there again too. So again, like first I would check to see if the services you're using support either an auth proxy or an identity provider. And if you go with Authentic, they have a great wiki on a lot of the services and how you configure them. So I would work out that, that mind map of like, here are the things I have, here are the things I could choose, and here are the things that are supported. Basically a Venn diagram. And I think Authentic you're gonna have a lot of overlap there and it'll work. Same with Authelia. But one is like an order of magnitude more infrastructure and configuration than the other. So yeah, I'll have to try out Keycloak or Authentic someday. My solution is to use Keycloak before reverse proxies sends it to the service, no matter if there's a specific login or not. Yeah, I like it. So it's basically zero trust, right? You're saying zero trust. Like I don't trust any of you guys. You're gonna authenticate no matter what. Yeah, I like it. Nanobug, I like it. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm not skipping. PC Geek said I did get a couple of M4000s for a good price that I have in a Proxmox box in my office that I have yet to get to tinker with. Planned to try Open Web UI on it though. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you'll have to let me know, PC Geek, because I'm always curious about like how well do the quote unquote older enterprise cards work with LLMs, right? And because I said, it's going to be a combination of enough RAM and then enough compute, GPU compute or AI compute, ML compute, for tokens per second. Like how many tokens can it process? So yeah, I'm always curious because like if you can find something that does both for cheap, it's pretty awesome. Quadro M4000, yeah, decent card. It has GDDR5 and 8 gig. Awesome. Yeah, right now I'm a fan. The quote-unquote budget, especially if you can find it used, is the 3060 from NVIDIA. So the RTX 3060 has 12 gigs of RAM. And it's pretty, decently priced if you're talking about modern video cards, 200-ish, maybe lower. But that one's an awesome card. And I'll be building something with it here in a little bit too. But it's pretty awesome because you get you get enough compute to process enough tokens, and then at the same time you get 12 gigs of RAM, which is pretty. It's a lot of RAM to be able to store pretty large models, like an 8 gig model or a couple of 2 gig models, and so you need all of those models, in RAM, so it's not swapping to disk, and because in RAM it's super fast for it to be able to read, but. Yeah, it's awesome. And Open Web UI, I love it. Talk about an awesome UI on top of Ollama to be able to have like a local Chat GPT like experience. It's pretty awesome. I get it that like the models, aren't as great as Chat GPT. I don't think they'll ever will, right? Because some are open source, some are for profit, and the size of the amount of effort that goes into the two, vastly differs. But for general stuff, and for help, especially with like tech stuff, Ollama with Llama, even the smaller one is pretty awesome. And all types of tasks can be, word tasks, can be solved with it. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's awesome. Anyways, I'm gonna look really quick to make sure I'm not like skipping over anyone. And we talked about that reverse proxy. Yeah, I talked about that. Okay, so hey all, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Saturday. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Man, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm just like attacking this mic. Thank you so much for bits, for follows, for subs, resubs, gifted subs. There was like a ton of stuff. There was like a ton of activities and a ton of gifted subs. And I really appreciate it. Like I never expected. And always appreciate it. And it really helps me like do fun stuff so then I could show you. But I appreciate it. And yeah, it's crazy. And then also like all of that aside, like I just want to say thank you also for being here because like just having people in chat to talk to is pretty awesome, especially about homelab stuff. Yeah, I say this a lot, but this is, the one time a week where selfishly I get to talk about things that people know what the heck I'm talking about. And I'm sure a lot of you feel that way too. It's like, hey, when I talk about whatever, 3D printing, home labbing, M4000s, Olama, like no one has any idea what I'm talking about. And at least here in chat, when I talk about those things, I know that most of you know too. And if you don't, that's totally fine too. And call me out, say, what the heck is Olama? Don't feel bad. I'd be glad to explain it because sometimes I assume people know all this stuff. So anyways, thank you, Maelstrom. Keep on being great. You rock, Tim. I appreciate it. Okay, Nanobug, real quick. A question about choosing hardware. I was just going to wrap it up. I can't stay away. I know Passmark is not 100% accurate, but how do I choose what CPU for a server? Let's say I can get some kind of old enterprise server with dual CPU, like 8 cores, 16 threads, and Passmark gives it a score of 10,000 each. But if I grab a new Ryzen server, 12 cores, 20, how do I choose what's better? I know some of it depending on, specific workloads. I'll say this, Nanobug. Most of the time, you don't need enterprise hardware. You don't need enterprise CPUs. Most of the time. For most people's like home lab use case, they don't. I think where you might start to need it, and probably this is an easy line for me to draw to say, here's when you need it, here's when you don't. It's going to be PCI Express lanes, right? It's going to be either like an enormous amount of RAM, like more than 256 gigs, because I think modern processors, at least desktops, can address pretty close to that. If not, it's like 192 or something weird. So if you need to address more than that, or you need to like crunch numbers like beyond belief, like to where, even a Ryzen's not going to be able to solve like, typical math equations that fast, or you need more PCI Express lanes because in desktop stuff, you probably get, 4, 8, 12, something like that. You get 20, you get 20 lanes. So that means a video card plus an NVMe drive, right? That's not great for servers. So those are kind of the three use cases. And I will say, in a server, I wouldn't put so much emphasis on your CPU. Most CPUs are going to be able to handle anything you throw at them. And so when you start self-hosting things, your bottleneck isn't going to be CPU. It's either going to be IOPS on disk, right? Like you have so many shared things, they're all trying to do something at once. You have some VMs to where you have this storm of IOPS to where things are slow. Or you're going to run out of RAM because, again, you're running VMs, they have RAM. You might be running containers that use a bunch of RAM, and so you're going to run out of RAM, and then that's going to cause I/O because they're going to be paging. And again, so I think like CPU, unless you're running like, handbrake tasks and you don't have a GPU to do it, or you're like, zipping files all day long, or compressing or decompressing files. It's strictly like math, type of equations on the CPU. Most likely that's not going to be your bottleneck. Anything made in the last like 10 years is going to be more than fine to do what most people want to do. It's when you start to get into specialized stuff like want to do hardware transcoding for video, right? Get a video card, that'll take care of that to offload it from the CPU. You want to do, LLM stuff. Again, we talked about that. GPU with enough RAM, with GPU that can do enough TOPS. And so yeah, I think CPU is most likely going to be the least of your bottleneck. I think, in my opinion, unless you're going to run 10 VMs, right? You're going to give them all 4 cores each, and then it's like, okay, yeah. But really, at the end of the day, the CPU is really fine, but your disks aren't going to be fine. So it's tough. It's tough. Like, we should talk about this in Discord because it comes up a lot. And then again, this is my lens. Like, this is what I've learned in my situation for my workloads. And do I still have servers? Absolutely I do. Why? Because I need more PCI Express lanes for some of the stuff that I do. If I didn't need those PCI Express lanes, would I have servers? I don't know. I do have some servers with 256 gigs of RAM. That's pretty expensive to buy, in a desktop with even DDR5. But then again, it's all, I don't know. It's all an equation for the most part. But, the other reason you might choose server hardware is because you're going to get IPMI, right? You're going to get a way to remote into that machine super easy, even if it's off, without paying for something else like Jet KVM, Pi KVM, you name it KVM. And so, there's a little bit of cost savings there because you get IPMI on most servers, and it's like, sweet, I can get into this. But there's a lot, and I agree, it's hard to kind of decide. But I went too big at first. I could have grown into the stuff that I used, but I ended up scaling back. So, anyways, but I have stuff everywhere. Anyways, hey, y'all, thank you so much. I already said thanks, but thanks again. I appreciate it. If you have something you want to talk about, if you want to discuss, like, hey, should I use enterprise gear or should I use desktop gear? Hey, we have a Discord server that's full of lots of people, 10,000 people who talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Lots of opinions. Some you may share and some you may not. So it's great to get someone else's opinion on this type of stuff, especially if you're making decisions about, infrastructure, design, hardware, all that stuff. There's someone in there who's done something similar, if not the same exact thing. So lots of good advice in there. I will be back next Saturday, so I'll be back here same time. And again, thank you so much. There was subs, bits, resubs, gifted subs, but I appreciate it all, and thank you so much for just being here in chat. So, anyways, I'm saying goodbye again. I appreciate it. I'll be in Discord later on. Have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend, and be good to each other. Take care, folks.